So with the full suspension kit that we have, this will allow us to go up to 5.5 inches of drop.
Yes. Oh God, why did we do this?
Hey friends, welcome back to the shop for another episode. We are continuing on our Project Herald, our 1972 Chevy C10, and moving into the fun part, the suspension.
The suspense is killing me.
So we were initially thinking about doing just one episode of the parts and the install, but that just would have been a very long video, and attention spans are small. So we are going to split these up, and in this episode we're going to walk through rather quickly on what we're going with these trucks, because there are a number of options out there, and the logic behind why we made these decisions, kind of the method to the madness of it all. So if you're getting ready to work on one of these and you're facing these same questions and the dilemma of what do I go with, this may help you out with wondering why we did this.
Yes. Oh God, why did we do this?
I ask that question every damn day when I step into this shop. Oh God, why are we doing this? All right, before we dive into the pretty shiny parts, the method to the madness. So number one, well, we have a budget that we're trying to stick to. And you do have a number of suspension options out there for these C10s. And you could go really, really basic, which is great. Or you can go to the really extreme, which is also great, but also very, very expensive.
And that price slope is pretty steep.
Very, very steep. There's no gradual. It's just way up there suddenly. So what we ended up going with is a full setup by CPP, so Classic Performance Products. And the reason we went with this kit is typically for the front end, you may have a 2-inch, or you have a 3-inch, or you have a 5-inch. We are planning on going with 20-inch wheels, 28.5s up front, 2010s in the back. And our concern with the number of cars that we've lowered and modified over the years is wheel gap. We want fitment to be right. If you go too small, then suddenly you have a large wheel gap there.
Looks like the truck forgot leg day.
Yeah. And damn, now you're stuck with having to go buy other things in order to fix that wheel gap. Or if you don't go big enough, now suddenly your tubs up front are rubbing on the wheels, and that's going to be a no-no too. So in order to do that, we went with a full coilover and spring suspension setup that I think is going to give us the flexibility to really modify and adjust how we see fit to help with that wheel gap and really give us a great, comfortable, and sporty ride.
And the other element too that played a part in this decision was that we wanted to be able to use our C10 as a truck. We want to be able to not think twice about going over and picking up a bed full of mulch for the yard.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's cover the front end first.
All right, let's talk about the control arms. These are going to replace the original heavy steel control arms. These are all tubular, much lighter, and great things are with the ball joints. They are all bolted in, so they're easily replaceable if something was to happen. Huge difference from the OEM. All right, next up is our drop spindles. With these, will give us a 2-inch drop. When you have a drop spindle like these, then you have to get the brake adjustment kits. Because the geometry changes, these also change the OEM brakes. Since we're not changing any of the brake system, these are going to be required. Now, here's where the flexibility of the front suspension comes in. We are moving to a coilover compared to just a standard spring replacement. And with the coilover, with these, you have two options. You have a 350-pound spring or a 550-pound spring. Because we do have the 400 big block, we wanted to have the heaviest spring that we could get on there to make sure that it doesn't bottom out and gives us the ride that we want. So with the full suspension kit that we have, this will allow us to go up to 5.5 inches of drop, really dial it in where we think the wheel fitment is perfect, the ride is perfect, just exactly what we were looking for from a stance standpoint. So, let's talk about that rear end.
Oh, you.
All right, first up is our new panhead bar. The great thing about this one is that it is double adjustable, so adjustable on both ends. This will allow us to really make sure that our axle is centered. Next up, new shocks. And we have the new brackets to mount those. Then our 5-inch drop springs. And then of course, dropping at 5 inches, you've got to notch it. So this is a new C-notch kit as well to go in.
Well, that'll put a spring in your step.
Hopefully not too bad of one. Well, hope you enjoyed this episode and kind of learning what is going into Harold next and the why behind it. It is something that took a lot of time on researching, spoke to a number of different C10 owners in multiple forums, and just really trying to dig in to understand what they used, what worked for them, what could be duplicated for us, and what we had to do a little bit differently.
And see, in the beginning, you started talking about how much fun all of this is. And all I see is a mountain of parts that's going to take a lot of labor to install.
Yep. I'm glad you're here to help me install it all.
Oh, are you? Well, stay tuned and join us for the next episode when we actually go to install these parts on Harold.
Yeah. And pray, because we're going to need it.
Oh God, why?
Until then, take care, stay safe. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.